This is lesson 114 in Saxon's second edition, Algebra 1/2. And this lesson is on a couple of things, complementary and supplementary angles, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And then how to measure angles using a protractor. So remember then that anytime you have two rays or two line segments that share an endpoint like this shared endpoint is called the vertex, and where there is a vertex, there's always going to be an angle. Alright, now, complementary angles will add up to a 90-degree angle. So this 60 plus this 30, you can see it forms a square corner. So we can say that the complement of 30 degrees is 60 degrees because it has to add up to a total of 90. Supplementary, though, adds to a total of 180. So when you see an angle, you've got your straight line here. A straight line is a 180-degree angle. So if you've got a 45 here, then the rest of that 180 would have to be 135. So the supplement then of 45 is 135 every time. It has to be. Okay? Now, we can name angles by using the letter at the vertex. Okay? So here we have angle ABC. This is angle A, angle B, and angle C. And we can use this symbol instead of having to write the word angle. This means angle A. When two angles or more angles have the same vertex, like this, then it's necessary to use three letters to name an angle. So the center letter is the vertex, and the other two letters will name a point on each ray. So this angle could be given 9 different names. It could be angle A, angle CAX, angle CAY, angle BAX, angle BAY. We could call it angle XAB, YAB, XAC, YAC. So you see that it really doesn't matter the order that those letters are in. If two angles have the same vertex and share the side between, then those angles are called adjacent angles. So on the left, this angle and this angle are not adjacent because they don't have the same endpoint. Here's an endpoint for X, and here's the endpoint for A. But in this one, you've got this and this both share the same endpoint. So GDE and FDE both have DE as one of their sides, but it is not this one that it comes between the angles. The two angles PQR and RQS are adjacent angles. Okay, now, so what's the difference? In this one, they both have QR as one of their sides. So P and then QR and then QR and S, or RQS. They both have this same side. So we remember that we just said that the sum of the measures of two angles, if the sum is 90 degrees, then those angles are called complementary. They form a right angle. If the sum of the measures is 180 180, those are called supplementary. And those two do not have to be next to each other. So together, angles A and B form a right angle. So these are complementary angles. C and D form a straight angle. So these are supplementary angles. So it's easy to get the words complementary and supplementary confused, or to remember which one is which. We can remember which is which if we associate the C in complementary with a picture of a right angle, and the S in supplementary with two right angles. That's just one way to do it. If you have another way that works for you, that's fine too. Alright, so look at this first example. It says, what are the measures of A, angle ABC, and B, angle DEF? Alright, A, B, C. Well, this is a 90-degree angle. If this is 30 of that, then the other part of that 90 has to be 60. This is a straight angle, so it's 180, and this much of it is 45. So the other half, or more than half, has to be 180 minus 45, which is 135. It's a 135-degree angle. Now, to measure an angle using a protractor, and this thing is a protractor, you've seen them before, we align the baseline, or the zero line, of the protractor with one side of the angle and move the protractor left or right, as is necessary, to place the angle vertex under the origin, or the little dot there at the center of the baseline. We read to measure the measure of the angle where the other ray passes through the scale. So like this, okay? Now, this we would not say is a 135-degree angle. You can just tell it's not that big. However, we can say that the other side of that, there are two sets of numbers. There's one here and then one here, and they seem to go backwards from each other. Since we can see just by looking that this is an acute angle, which means it is less than 90 degrees, then it can't be 135. It must be 45. So this is a 45-degree angle. Alright, let's do our practice problems. This, in A, it says the supplement of an angle is 40. What is the angle? Well, the supplement needs to be 180, so 180 minus 40 equals 140. So for A, it would be 140. For B, the complement of an angle is 40. What is the angle? Well, for complement, we have 90 minus 40 equals 50. Alright, given the angles shown, these three here, is angle, C says, is angle YXM acute, right, or obtuse? Acute, right, or obtuse? Well, it looks like it is larger. If this were straight up and down, it would be a right angle. That would be a 90 degree. It's over to the side more, so it's larger than 90 degrees. So angle YXM is an obtuse angle. And then looking at PBX, we can tell by this little square corner right here that it is a right angle. And then looking at OKC, we can see that that is lower than a 90 degree, so it is an acute angle. Alright, so let's look at the measure of each angle here. F says angle AOC, so let's trace that out. AOC. So we can tell it's obviously not 165 degrees, so it must be 25 degrees. So F is 25 degrees. G, angle AOD, ends up midway between 150 and 160, which this is an acute angle, so that can't be right. So it must be a 25. Let's see, no, 25. No, I was wrong. For F, that is a 15 degree angle, and then G is a 25 degree angle. Alright, let's look at H. Angle AOG. AOG. Alright, now this is clearly an obtuse angle, so we're going to go with that bottom number there. So it is a 100 degree angle, slightly bigger than a 90. And I says angle AOH, which is all the way over here. And H, this is again clearly obtuse, so it wouldn't be a 50 degree, it would be a 130 degree. J is angle IOG, so that would be here, here, here. Now this is not quite a right angle, so we're going to go with that top set of numbers. It is an 80 degree angle, so slightly short of a 90 degree. K, angle IOF. Now here we do have that straight line, that square corner, and that would be a 90 degree angle. Angle L is IOB, which is almost a straight line. So it's in the middle here between 170 and 180, so it is a 175 degree angle. Let me erase some of these lines so it's a little easier to see which one we're working on. Okay. And M says angle IOA, which is a straight line, which is always going to be a 180 degree angle. Alright, easy lesson. Several things to remember. You should put you should definitely put down in your notes complementary angles and supplementary angles and what they mean. And hopefully the rest of it you'll just get by with the practice you're going to get. Good job, and I'll see you back next time for lesson 116, because we're not going to do 115. We're going to skip that lesson, so I'll see you back for lesson 116.